Hello, everybody. It's Lynne Scott Haggerman, and I am so blessed and honored and privileged to have Jim Fotis with me today on the podcast. And what I would love to do is to read Jim's background to you and then talk about what he is up to, which you're going to be thrilled about this. It's so amazing. So I'm going to read from a bio. James Fotis, Jim, has a long career of experience as an informed, decisive leader and an analytical, proactive problem solver. He served more than 20 years as the executive director of the Law Enforcement Alliance of America, known as LEAA, an association of law enforcement officers, crime victims, and concerned citizens. During his tenure, LEAA had a profound influence on the law enforcement community, Capitol Hill, and the executive branch. Jim appeared on hundreds of TV and radio programs as a commenter on sensitive issues ranging from gun control to international terrorism. I find that, side note, Jim, I find that astounding that you've been on hundreds of TV and radio programs. I feel like I'm just getting going. So Jim served for 14 years as a police officer for the Lynbrook, New York Police Department, retiring as the highest and most decorated officer in the department's history. He holds a master's degree in professional studies, industrial psychology, and a bachelor's degree. So I'll pause there for a second, Jim. I have a master's in industrial organizational psychology. So that's why I added another word to your. So it's a professional studies, industrial psychology, and bachelor's degree in behavioral science, criminal justice. He served 3 years in the military, leaving the Army as a disabled veteran. And thank you so much for your service. Jim is an established writer for Town Hall, DC Times, American Liberty News, and many other online media outlets. So I believe all of you understand now why it's just such a blessing for me to have such an esteemed guest on the show today. And thank you for being here, Jim.
Oh, thank you for all the kind words. I
Well,
appreciate that.
well deserved, well deserved. And we have been developing an amazing relationship off camera. We've had a couple of wonderful, wonderful discussions. So I'm so excited to share what you're doing today. So let's jump in. Um, Tell me, the children, tell me what you're doing and walk me through what this is and how it got started, where you're at, your vision.
Okay. Well, first, I appreciate being on your podcast, and you are a amazing person from everything I learned too. So I hope to learn more from you about what we're doing because you fit right in. But I currently, as you know, I run in several different nonprofits, couple of political organizations, and I also help police officers. But as we've grown and gone through different maturations, obviously law enforcement has to deal with many different things, dealing with uh, households that are being broken apart, dealing with child abuse, dealing with wife abuse, dealing with assaults. And after that, after being a cop and then doing 23 years with the other organization, now having my own organizations and all of the accent seeming to go to human trafficking and certainly abuse, and hearing about all of the children that have been lost, that one came that those that came across the border carrying, either they were mules or they were coming across the border to possibly go somewhere to either be abused, possibly into prostitution. Not that we know, because I know from what Lynne has said that there were 900,000 children that came across the border, and we have no record of anything.
That's right.
And of course, the fentanyl and all of the drugs that came across the border at that time. But all of these things, and then a particular story that I heard, and the name was Lily in Virginia. She was a transsexual or heading towards being a transsexual. She identified as being a male. And at 14, she was going into high school, Fairfax High School. And there are clubs for if you're transsexual or possibly homosexual, there are clubs within the schools. And when she went into high school, she was being counseled. Her parents took care of her, they cared about her, and she was being counseled. And she joined one of these clubs. And at an evening meeting at the club, she met an individual who took her to Washington, D.C., and she never came back. And her parents, of course, were looking for her, could not find her. And for over 2 months, she was at a brothel in DC. He basically sold her into prostitution in DC at 14 years old. And after that, they finally found her a civil attorney because Washington, D.C. is split in two between Virginia and Maryland. He happened to be from Maryland, and he decided that her parents were abusing her. And in the end, we found was not being abused. They were taking care of her, they were taking her to the right people, but he kept her. Wouldn't give her back. He wanted to investigate her parents and he put her in a boys' home. So for another month, she was being continuously raped and abused. And finally, her parents got her back. In Virginia, a law was written called Lily's Law to stop these clubs in the schools. And at that time, Virginia had a Democratic House and governor, and the law it did not pass. So it continued to really bother me after I heard about this. And we do have a political arm of our other organizations. And I decided that we needed something to help everyone in these situations, whether you believe you're something or whatever you believe, you should not be abused.
That's right.
So, anyway, I decided to start an organization. It's called Project Liberty to somehow help people that have been sexually abused, sex, that have been human trafficked, whether they're men, women, grown ups, whether they're trafficked for prostitution, to be human slaves. There are so many new words out there that people don't understand, and most people don't understand that this could be your neighbor that's doing this. This could be your neighbor that's bringing children into a house and they may never be seen again. You have no idea who's there. There are so many new people in the country that you know nothing about. So it 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 takes a while to start an organization. So what we did first was we did a doing business as, hooked it up to my other organization, and we started to raise money to give to other organizations that are already helping trafficked kids, children, people that had been sold into human slavery, and also to try and educate police departments on what human trafficking is, because they don't know.
No, they
They
don't.
really don't know. And not that we made a lot of money, but we made some money, and we're trying to give it to the right organizations. And my dream is, now that we've actually got an incorporated 501c3 nonprofit, is to have it serve all sides, so that we will have a search and rescue, we will have a counseling area, and we will have the ability to possibly, once we help these people, and then especially if they're children, find them a place that they can go and be taken care of. And that's what I would like to see come of Project Liberty, and we are working to that. And the people that are involved are me, James Fotis, the other person that's been with me in this stuff from the starting, keeps complaining that I formed new corporation, Bert Eiler, my partner,
Uh-huh.
and Elena Lundy, who was also with us almost from the beginning, and my son, who's just graduating from college, Joshua Fotis, who is also been in the army and cannot wait to start to help people wherever he needs to go. So we're kind of on a roll right now, trying to put it together, trying to get ideas. And Lynne has agreed to be on our advisory board, and we're all very excited about that, because her knowledge about all of this is, you couldn't find a person more knowledgeable. So I am just so excited to have met her, and we have an incredible rapport, and I'm hoping that this grows and she really becomes part of us. And I already feel like I'm part of her.
Well, and the feeling's mutual. And the very first time we spoke, I knew that we just connected, we just connected and could easily talk to each other and have the same purpose, in the soul, to help in this area. And when you asked me to be on your board, it was just such a blessing, because that gives me another avenue and opportunity to help people. And what you're doing is so near and dear to my heart. And we were talking, I mean, I love our conversations, and we were talking before I hit record about these things. And we know that this is going to become really big. You just feel it. It's like you can feel it in your heart and your soul, um, that this is something that God wants to make very, very big, a next big step. And I think you said that you've been filing in the all the states. Is that part of the process too?
Yes, to raise money in every state, you have to file so that you're registered in the state, and then you have to file every year, and it's a big process to file in every state. The interesting thing is that you have to file for every corporation,
Wow.
so it runs into a lot of money if you file on time. The big thing is keeping up with the filings, like anything else. If you file on time, let's take California. If I file in LA, which has about 8 filing places, so it's so big,
Wow.
some of them are $10 to file, some of them are $40. If you miss the filing, some of them are 400 and some of them are 1,000. So this
Wow.
is, you've got to try and make the filing dates for all the corporations, or you wind up paying these astronomical files. And it's difficult because putting all the information together for each corporation makes it difficult. And having a accountant, a bookkeeper, and then it all has to go to a CPA, and then you need a certified financial on some of them over a certain amount. It becomes it's difficult to keep up with everything. And my partner is always yelling at me, if we don't do this, we're going to have to pay this. And I said, I know that, Bert, but sometimes you can't worry about it. You just got to keep doing what you're doing. And when you get to it, you get to it. Now, there is a federal extension, but some certain states that are not, this sounds really strange, that are not red states will not accept the federal extension. So if you miss their date, then you pay.
Wow. Wow.
So it's, and I mean, we're doing pretty well, but sometimes it's just difficult, and you don't have to do anything that you're raising for political reasons. You only have to do it on charitable. So
Now that's an interesting thought right there. Just saying. So then you set this up to be able to do the fundraising. So then
yes,
once this is set up, then you start the fundraising.
the fundraising will start, and we really don't have anything. We approve everything, scripts. We approve any letters that go out. And if it's a letter about somebody or if it's for somebody, they get to approve it. They get to change it. They get to look at it, make sure that it's correct, make sure we want everything to always be true and upfront. Anything we write asking money to help a police officer, these are police officers that have been charged with crimes for doing the job the way they were trained. And we go through a whole process making sure we're not taking a police officer that's been abusive, been charged with crimes over and over again, or anything within the department. So these guys have been charged with a crime, can't get a job, can't do anything, and they have to suffer. And the word speedy trial is gone. They're waiting 5 years already since 2020 to get their time in court. The punishment is in the process of waiting over and over again, being told, okay, your court date is July 15th. And as we approach that court date, they're told, oh no, it's going to be December 17th. So the punishment is definitely in the process. And hopefully the, courts at a trial, they're supposed to listen to the evidence, and they're supposed to, the jury is supposed to give a verdict, or if it's a judge, he's supposed to decide on the evidence, not on the newspapers, not on the media, not on anything else that's going on. But we have seen and been at trials where they've been so corrupted, and the judge refuses to do anything when we bring the corruption that's going on within the jury. I don't know what's happening to our system. So it's just been very, very difficult. Up until 2020, the courts seem to be doing pretty well. After that, we have lost case after case. One of the biggest cases and the most interesting cases is an individual named Daniel Perry, and he has Asperger's. He was in the army. He had a good career going for him. He was driving a Uber during the riots, and one of the protesters, carrying an AK-47, which was legal in Texas, had put on a black mask and was walking towards him with the AK-47 pointed right at him. And as he approached, he lifted it up towards his head, and Perry thought his life was in danger, and he shot one shot, which killed the man. I believe his name was Foster, and he could not stop within the crowd because they all surrounded his car. So he moved away. Somebody fired four shots into the back of his car. As soon as he could, he stopped. Called the police. Police came in. They have a very liberal Soros prosecutor there who, when he was elected, said, I'm only going to prosecute police. But he prosecuted Daniel. Daniel was charged with murder. And in Texas, they have a stand your ground law. You don't have to move. You don't have to be killed because somebody's coming at you. And the governor pardoned him, but he's a total mess. And then Daniel, the prosecutor held back a charge saying that he recklessly endangered a woman that was standing near him as he drove away. So now they're charging him with that. And uh, Jackson, the New York Attorney General, she is trying to get all of the blue attorney generals in the United States to sign a petition to have him charged with basically racism under the federal act for shooting Foster, but they're both white. So how can she do that? I mean, and this guy's already got enough on his plate. So anyway, we're defending him, and hopefully, got him pardoned one time. Hopefully we can just get this thrown out of court. It's just such an absurd, and for the New York Attorney General to get involved with a case in Texas with this poor guy is just a horror story.
I
And
mean,
then
on the pale ludicrous, Jim. I just the way that these is she another Soros backed? Do
I'm
you know?
sorry.
Is she another Soros backed attorney? Do you know?
Yes, she was Soros back. There are, I don't know exactly how many, but there was in between 2022 and now, there were many, many Soros backed attorneys in Arizona, in Texas, obviously LA, and in there were several voted out of office the last time, but the one that's in Austin, Texas, who charged 27 police officers, he was not voted out of office. We, in fact, tried to, we had a moderate, very moderate, but very fair Democratic district attorney who was in that office, and he quit and went into his own practice, run against him in Austin. And obviously, the people in Austin don't want their police department to do anything. They're down 600 men. 27 were charged originally by this DA, and the ones that we backed, he lost. So this district attorney is still in there charging cops for every single thing they do. So the people of Austin proper don't want the district attorney that will actually follow the law and not make his own law.
And it's just so astounding on several levels, including that the people who live there would be for this kind of injustice, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to be harmed too without having any law enforcement in their area. Because what police officer in their right mind would go to work for that police department?
Exactly. And if they did go, they're getting a much lower standard. And because of all of these district attorneys and because of all the things that have happened to police, the quality of your police departments throughout the United States has gone down. And you're not getting the, there was the Nassau County Police Department on Long Island was the first police department to ask for 2 years of college. Now, not that I think you could be a very good police officer, whether you have college or you don't have college. It may help you make a better decision in some circumstances. But what I've found for police officers and in the military, the people that can think and have common sense make the best police officers.
That
You
makes
do not, yeah, you do not have to lock every person up. You do not have to give everyone a ticket. You don't have to, you have one police officer has so much power. People don't realize that. You have the power to put a person behind bars. You have the power to stop someone from doing something they're doing with their family. So you need a police officer that can think, that has common sense, and believes that people are innocent, truly, until they are proven guilty. And, in the light of the world, that's not happening. And we don't want that here. And that's the police officers you're getting. They tell you go out there and do this. Now the guys that were doing it right are the guys that are gone. The guys that believed in the law are the people that are gone. The the new person that possibly could be mayor in New York, he wants to do away with police.
right. Which uh and probably, normally their plan then is to put social workers in these situations, and how incredibly dangerous that doesn't even make sense. But I think that's part of the purpose too. um what's the sky is green, the grass is blue. They're trying to make this make people buy into that this makes sense when it absolutely does not.
Yeah, exactly. And, there was a book a long time ago, Psychologist Willie Gunn, and that's what he wrote about. He actually did have a PhD in psychology, but he said every cop should have some training that they are and have to be psychologists with a gun, you know? And the statistic was, and probably still is, that a New York City police officer pulls his gun out of the holster one time in 20 years.
Really? That
Yes.
surprises me. That surprises me.
Because remember, you have 50,000 police officers, and I think you got 27, I probably more now, or less now, but you had about 27,000 in the street when these statistics came out. So, and then, you know, and when they get killed, like in a shootout and stuff, it's because training is so important. They don't have time to train. They don't have time to work out. That most of them work two jobs. So, and when they're pulling their gun, if they're in a standard, you pull your gun out of the holster. As you're pulling out, they're pulling the trigger. So by the time you get up to the target, you only have at that when they had revolvers, you only had a couple bullets left. Now they've got 17 round semi-automatics, but you're still so nervous you're pulling the trigger. So maybe you have 7 or 8 bullets left.
Um,
So it's a lot of interesting things, a lot of change, and but training is a big thing, and you can't train a social worker to be a police officer.
No, you cannot. It puts their life in danger and other
Yes.
people's lives too. What I would love to do, I'm going to share with everyone the website for, hang on, let me move this and get to, there we go, the National Center for Police Defense. So this is the organization we're talking about now. This is the one that, what year did you found that, Jim?
In 2010.
2010. So you can go here and read all about the organization, where it's been in the news, the different case files that they've had, um, a place to donate to support this. So it's a really beautifully done website. I'm back to the homepage here too. So I wanted people to see what your organization, and is that primarily then what you're doing through that organization, Jim, is the defense?
We do the defense, but we also, because of the fact that when you're charged with a felony, most police departments, though, you're immediately you're laid off. You can't work. And if you have a felony charge, you can't get a job outside. So we try to help pay a mortgage, pay car payment. They were like, there's one person right now, we're helping them pay their health insurance because they have no health insurance and they have some children. And so we're helping them with that. And we have another person in New Jersey. He took care of his mother and four kids, and his mother is now taking care of his children, and she's got a severe heart condition and cancer. So we just helped put a new roof on the house because it was leaking, and we're helping with some of the medical bills. And he got charged for doing everything correct. He was a felon in New Jersey, beat up his girlfriend, took her car, had a gun, robbed somebody, went by this police officer. He followed him. They shot at him. He chased them through the town of Newark. He was in danger the whole time. And he did wind up shooting the driver and then captured the passenger, and he got charged with the crime. It took them 4 years to get him into court. The attorney that we thought was really good and gave him over $100,000, and along with other organizations giving him money, turned out to be a very bad attorney, did not do the right thing, did not know the law had changed. And the person, the police officer, wound up, his name is Giovanni Crespo, wound up getting 27 years in prison for doing the right thing, saving people from two people that would have robbed them and probably killed somebody. And now we're doing the second appeal.
Just when I hear these stories, and unfortunately, these stories appear very common throughout the judicial systems in the United States, where it's like upside down land. You enter it's like the unjudicial system. People enter, and the most astounding verdicts are reached, which, like you were saying when you first started talking, aren't in congruence with the facts of the case.
Exactly. And you can't, you try to put your brain around it and say, why is this happening? And even in a jury trial, why the jury is, makes the decision on what they're fed, and they're fed inconsistency. They're fed the wrong thing. And if your attorney doesn't know what the law is, you're sunk. So it's not only the prosecutors, but it's also the attorneys. And this is what I say about police officers. Once they get an attorney, I always ask them, do you feel that he's a good attorney? Do you feel he knows what he's doing? How many cases against police officers that have killed somebody have they had? Because if they haven't had any, they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And I mean, when Project Liberty gets going, we're going to have many cases like this. We're going to have so many things that are inconsistent that we're going to have to help people get through. We're going to not only need money, we're going to need to be able to pick the right psychologist or the right psychiatrist or the right doctors to send them to and have them at our fingertips because they're going to need help.
Yes, you're talking
And
the victims. Yes, they will.
yes, they will. And the children are the ones that I fear for when I hear the stories. And then, the fact that in the United States, and what your study on rape of little girls and little boys, I mean, if I hate to say it, if I found somebody that I knew was doing that, I would have trouble controlling myself with them. It makes me so, first, it makes me sad, and then it makes me sick that these people would do that.
Yes, and that is the reaction of that is such a normal human reaction. And I hear that from um, men in particular, especially because, God put in a man's DNA, especially to protect. And it's just part of who they are, to protect the women, to protect the children, to protect others. Of course, with your law enforcement background, that is a protect and serve field. And it does make, I mean, I'm there too, Jim, because and I know people feel this when they hear my story too, but as I keep working with, you see these beautiful, beautiful children, these beautiful little souls. And when you stop and think about what's happened to them, it's beyond the pale heinous. And thankfully, it is my understanding that there is, from other attorneys in this field, that there is no statute of limitations against these crimes against the children. So that um, makes me feel good. Um,
Yes.
that's opportunities for justice, no matter when this might come to be. And we were talking, before I hit record. This is a something that many people now are involved in, knowing that this must stop. It has been going on for far too long, and it must stop. So that's why I'm very happy. I mean, it just really warms my soul when I hear about what's on your heart that you're doing, but not just on your heart, you're taking actual action steps to get there. And I think from the time I've been speaking, that's a missing component in this battle, is someone with a clear vision and action steps to make this progress and find the funding, find the resources, get things lined up in order to be able to help the children. And I do see it in other places of the country starting, which is good. But it's amazing how you're getting this lined out and thinking through the whole process to be able to help whenever it's time to get going.
And we want to, help. I'm sure there are other organizations out there that are probably helping, but again, money is also, so we want to be able to help them too. But you've also got to do a background on everybody you help. I don't want to just take and throw money at some group that says they're helping and they're not, because we've seen the corruption in so many groups where the money's not going where it's supposed to go. And I mean, I can't say that when I was a police officer, we had a lot of abuse. I had one family where the brother was taking advantage of his sister, and the parents were actually, I believe they knew, and they would not open their eyes. And we did get social workers in to help take care of the problem. And but we were small, so I could not follow up on what happened in the end. But we did get the right people in, and we had. But in New York City or bigger departments, they have so much going on and so much abuse, and I'm sure they've got people in the ghettos that are being sold into, you know, human slavery of some kind, or being sold into prostitution. I mean, I've also read that the American Indian, that 300,000 a year are disappearing, the women from
Yes,
different tribes, and
yes,
they're not being followed up on. Nothing is being done.
I know. It's just it's all shocking.
It it's vast, though. I mean, I don't know if we can. I dream that I could follow. Say help everyone, but I don't know if we could ever can, because it's not just here; it's worldwide,
It is.
and it's, it seems that certain groups are abused more than other groups, and certainly minority groups are abused more.
And I
So,
believe that my opinion is because of the poverty.
yes,
Because poverty makes for easier targets, and it also makes for parents who might have multiple jobs to make ends meet not being around. Um, and then there's also generational abuse where it just keeps perpetuating. Um, and from my background, I actually saw it all walks of life. There was no, um, uh, it didn't matter if people were minorities or not minorities. It seemed to focus more around poverty, you know.
and I mean, my stepdaughter lives in Tennessee, and even though there are nice places in Tennessee, there are places that are probably worse than any place you could find in New York City. It's just, and you're right. It's probably the, at one time, the statistic was that the fastest growing crime in America was incest. So I tend to believe that, especially from the statistics that you've come with. Uh, I don't know if they're still saying that, but I believe it's still true.
That is a part of the problem. The generational pedophilia is a large part of the problem. because you have to just stop and think. People just have to stop and think. I mean, this has been going on since time began, but one perpetrator creates another perpetrator, and it's passed down the family line to where that becomes at some point. There's research that shows that it actually becomes in the DNA, like blue eyes and brown hair, and you know people who are highly intelligent, or people who are kind, or people who are narcissistic. You'll see these personalities and physical characteristics. So that tends to become something that becomes more normal in families. And unfortunately, statistically, there's a high percentage of trafficking that happens from families, the family unit themselves.
themselves.
My
Yeah.
my mother is the one, that sent me to the trafficking house. So and it's hard to imagine, but she was harmed as a little girl, and her mother was harmed as a little. So there's this generational thing that happens. And I've often said why some people come out um, badly harmed to harm others, and why some don't, I'm really not sure. Praise God, I came out as one that did not harm others, but my mom didn't. So it's an unspeakable, unthinkable, horrific act to have to survive, and it does damage people mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Um, so we do have a lot of work to do. In spite of all of that, I still have hope, because I know that there are people out there, all my followers. I mean, people follow me because they have a heart for this topic, that most of them. And some may have been harmed, some may not have, but I've seen God put this on the heart of many people. There's a woman I was recently connected with, and for the past 8 years, God has woken her up every morning at 3 a.m. to pray for the children, to pray for the trafficked children. Now, this isn't her field, but he's on the move, and he wants things done, and he's clearly tapped you on the shoulder and put in your heart a mission to do this. And you are a man on a mission. I'm on a mission too, and I see us just connecting with more and more people who are going to be his hands and feet and work towards stopping this, because they're up to this point, there hasn't been a lot of work done, but I believe it's because people didn't know. They just did not know the extent of what's happening.
Right. And it's getting the word out so people can understand. I mean, human trafficking is so broad, but having people understand what it means, and the fact that it could be going on right where you're at, that is what is the amazing part. When you said, like you said, family to family, it's within, it becomes part of the gene, and it goes on within families, and you traffic your own. And it's horrible that the fact that your mother would sell you into trafficking, something like that at birth. I mean, that's a horror, and I know it's something that you had to contend with all your life.
Yes, and yes, it is. And you're absolutely right, because in my instance, it was a trafficking house in the neighborhood. And I say, I never share where it's at, because I say anywhere USA, and frankly anywhere world, to your point too. This is in every town. It does not matter the size, small, medium, big. It doesn't matter East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, North, South. Every town USA, this is happening. And in neighborhoods
Yeah.
where children are coming in and out, like you said, it can be done easily during the night when no one's home, or in ways that appear innocent, but it is absolutely happening. And part of the work that I'm doing too is to try to educate others on how to recognize if a child is being harmed or trafficked, so that that way um, you're aware, and then things to do and to not do. So we can do this and we can make a difference. And I'm just so honored to be a part of what you're doing. Just so blessed, so looking forward to it. And we have a few minutes left, but I want to make sure I give you the opportunity. Was there anything else you wanted to share about Project Liberty that we haven't talked about yet?
Just the fact that, well, one, I can give out the website. We can give
Let
out
me,
project.
yes, let me pull
Yeah,
that up. You bet.
yeah, yeah. So, and if anybody wants to donate, you can donate right at that website. And the good thing about donating there, it doesn't go through anybody else. It comes directly to us, and it will be used to help or give to another organization that needs help. So that's certainly a good way to donate to us. And we do have an office in Virginia, and it would be Project Liberty at 10521 Judicial Drive, Suite 200, Fairfax, Virginia 22030.
And is that on your website too, Jim?
It's on the other website. It's
The other
on the
website?
National Center for Police Defense. I don't believe we put it up here yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We were in the midst of moving offices, and then it fell through. So I didn't put it on. I didn't
Okay.
put that one on here yet.
Okay, so people can see once the fundraising, when you're getting ready to go, it's the legislative side, it's assistance for the victims, it's
Yes.
education, both community and of course the survivors, family members, loved ones, I'm sure, training for police agencies, because as we talked before I hit record, a lot of the law enforcement just doesn't understand. And then to help find the missing children is another service that you're going to do. And
That's right.
then here is how people can get involved. So see, yeah, our hearts are on the same place. How to recognize if something's not right, sharing with others. Um, I mean, it's
And
just, yeah.
yeah, and if you see anything that looks like someone is being abused, whether it's from elderly to young children, I'm going to give you my phone number, which is 202 999 5074. And you can call me anytime and I'll pick up usually.
Unless like you're on the phone with me for a long chat. You might not be able to talk to all of us at once, but I'm sure you'll call back as soon as you're able.
So,
Wonderful. Well, and I'll put links to both of those websites in the show notes. And
I
um,
appreciate that.
and God bless you again for everything that you're doing. Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for asking me to be on your board. It is such an honor. I'm really looking forward to assisting your organization in this area. And I'm very excited about that. So thank you again.
Oh, and thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll be talking more and looking forward to that.
Me too. Me too. Very good. And I'll close the show as I always do with the absolute truth that God is absolutely good.
I agree.